we had a little coffee and a little grounding and a little garden maintenance. Gonna try to do a little maintenance on the garden every day for the next week. This cucumber is really happy. If you saw the thumbnail, it's actually producing another cucumber, I see. I'm pretty happy for that. Apparently apricot trees and cucumbers make good companions. Who would have known? Another really cool thing that I noticed is I don't have any squash bugs, and it's June 21st. So what that means to me is letting the onions and garlic stay in the garden bed really actually work as a deterrent. One thing I did this morning in my garden maintenance is I went through and started trimming any damaged leaves off. If you have a squash plant that has damaged leaves, if you take the damaged leaves off, right at the point where the branch comes off the vine, it'll produce a new leaf. And there's no point of leaving bad leaves on squash plants or even fruit trees for that matter, because you don't want your plant putting the energy into trying to fix a leaf that's going to die. I don't know if you can see, we still got a live plant here. I took the worst leaves off. Obviously not going to take them all off, but I think this one's going to make it. Kind of curious to know what this is. Unfortunately, all my squash got mixed up. I am taking the advice that I got with watering at the ground level though. So we'll see if that helps the plants a little bit. I think they are just really starved for attention. My hubby did the best he could. A lot of work in the heat. This kumquat is doing fabulous though. We're starting to definitely see some fruit on this. So I'm really loving that. We have a mandarin tree that we've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 years that hasn't fruited. And so I was doing a little reading about that this morning. And what I read is we have to look to see if we can see the graft line. Because apparently your rootstock can overtake your graft. And we planted that from a stick, so I'm hoping that's not the case. But I'm definitely going to go look and see if I can find the graft line on that. Wouldn't want to waste your time or your resources caring for something that isn't going to do anything, right? One thing's for sure is citrus when it flowers smells amazing. Even this kumquat with the flowers on it, it kind of has a nice honey smell to it. It smells so good. I also read that you get about 5 gallons per minute when you're doing your hose. Or I'm sorry, about a gallon per minute. So basically when I do the lemon, I'm going to want to water for 5 minutes. My husband just dumps a 5-gallon bucket, but I'm not quite strong enough to do that, and I don't want to hurt myself. So when you're gardening, caring for fruit trees, you want to make sure you're doing it in a way that you're not going to hurt yourself, right? It's important. We all have different ways of doing things. I would say for sure if you live in the desert, fig trees, pomegranates, kumquats, pistachios, those trees are going to be low maintenance for you. You can have a lot more success with that. I sprayed a bug. I don't know what it was, but we don't want it there. We have a lot more figs that are setting on, which is pretty cool. Figs don't actually flower. They just make figs. And I guess the fig is the flower. It's like an inside-out flower. But we haven't actually added any additional water to this fig, or the pistachio for that matter, and it's doing quite well. The only thing I need to do on the fig is remove the growth notch. And let me show you what I'm talking about with that. So right here, this would be the growth notch. You want to remove this so that these figs will continue to develop, grow, and get ripe. The only thing about figs is the branches, when you cut them, it's caustic. So it's going to have this leaky sap that comes off, and you don't want to get that sap on your skin or in your eyes. So what I find when I do this growth notch trimming is I will do parts of the tree at a time. Oh, hi, John. How are you today? let me see, I'm gonna guess. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Jojo, Hojo rules the world. Hi there. Holy Basil, hi there. Paint it. Oh, what do you think I should paint? Tell me a little more about that. I'm curious to know what you think I should paint. Thanks for joining me. Hello. So anyway, we're gonna prune different sections of top-notch growth at a time so that we don't end up getting any of this sticky sap on us. And what I usually do is I start with the bottom of the tree and then I work my way up. And I'll just do sections at a time. And a cool thing about doing it that way is you kind of like spread your work out and you're not like working too hard. That's one thing you really have to watch here in the desert is you don't want to get too hot, right? And I did that one day and I was okay, but it just, the consequences were the next day I had leg cramps, right? So the other thing you can do if you're working in a warm environment, first, do it in the early morning. Don't be out here in the hot sun, but two, take some potassium. Okay, this barbells, this thing doesn't need any extra water either. And you're gonna have to prune these a lot because this will just keep growing and getting taller, but this will flower all summer long. So this is a pretty great plant here. Love this. So do the hummingbirds. So this right here is our mandarin. And so I'm looking to see, oops, here we go. So I'm looking to see if I can see a graft line. I'm not really sure. You know, it might be possibly right about here, I hope. But again, ooh, that's pokey. The citrus is so good, it provides itself with thorns. Yeah, I'm not sure if I see a graft line on that. Dang. Gonna have to do a little research on this. I hate investing time into something because again, we've had this for about 5 years, but at the same time, if you know something's not gonna do anything, then you don't want to invest any more time or resources on it, right? Hello, Sefer. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Where are you from anyway? We're in the desert of southern Nevada. All right, let's keep going. Our green tea doesn't look really happy, but it's alive, so we're not giving up on that. It could have also had a little shock from being transplanted and just the climate change too. Sometimes things look pretty rough after they've been transported here. It's a big deal getting trees delivered in time to not be overly hot. I ordered a tree once and it was in the FedEx truck all day. And so, of course, by the time it got to me, it was dead. I find a lot of these companies, if you tell them, like Stark Bros, if you tell them that you're in a hot climate and you want them to ship earlier, as long as they have the tree available, they will ship that to you. You can see we're getting a few lemons here. Let's see if I can. I'm happy about that. And I think I see another one, so maybe we didn't lose them all. I'm sure it'd be nice to get some. Boy, I tell you, put probably the most water resources that we put on anything is on this lemon tree. And I guess with me working this year, it's not a really good year to judge anything by. I'm not working now, so it's going to get, oh, here's some more. There's another one. Yay. I thought I had about this. I watched a lot. When we first started growing fruit trees, I watched a lot of videos about growing fruit trees, and you can't over prune a lemon. And another thought I had is seeing that we're not necessarily getting more lemons from having a bigger tree, the thing to do might be to prune it back and just grow it as a smaller tree. That is another thought. But my friends that are having the most success with their lemon trees have Eureka's. This Meyer lemon, what we love about it, oh, there's another lemon over here. what we love about it is the skin. The skin is actually sweet. So I'll just slice it and I'll eat the skin too. I mean, you don't want to just sit and eat lemons all day because that wouldn't be great for your teeth, but a slice or two with something you're eating is really pretty nice. But you would never do that with your regular lemon because they're kind of tart, right? I mean, you could grate your regular lemon peel and put it on fish and other things, other foods, maybe some rice, and stir fry, but you wouldn't just sit and eat a slice of a lemon with a lemon rind on it, right? So we are getting a few lemons. I guess we'll just have to watch it. Kind of feel like we should have a Eureka versus the Meyer. The Meyer actually, I don't believe it's a true lemon. It is a citrus though, and it is tropical. So it's not native to here. Actually, I'm not sure that there's much that's native to here, but some things definitely manage better than others. We've had pretty good success with our apple trees though, so that is wonderful, which is surprising. One of our apple trees fruits really early, which helps it because by the time the heat sets on, the apples are pretty much mature. Look at that dove up there in that tree. So peaceful. I just love this backyard. And even though these pine trees kind of make a big mess in our yard, something that I like about them is it gets us more shade for our garden, along with we have a lot of nesting species of birds in these trees. There's a paddle cactus. This one, I really pruned it back this last year, so it doesn't have any fruit showing up on it at this time, but it's still kind of cool. I think these ones look really cool. And they grow like crazy. You can see that I pruned it quite a bit. There's our fig. I pruned this fig substantially this last year. It only produces figs on the new grow. So if you get a lot of the base tree like that, the hardwood, you won't get any figs on that. These can actually get 15 feet tall and 15 feet wide, which we wouldn't want in our little yard. We've actually managed to put quite a bit in this yard. And this is our newest apple. We've had this for probably 4 years and it's just now fruiting. It sets on later though, so it's got a little bit of a disadvantage. It doesn't wake up until it's a little warmer. But it's got 3 or 4 apples that set on this year and it looks really healthy. It definitely looks happy, so I think it's going to do really well. Oh, hello, Rufik Therian Wolf. Hi, how are you today? Appreciate y'all joining me this morning. And I can actually see the comments when I'm in the garden. When I'm out walking, the sunlight is so intense that I often don't notice comments until after I'm done. So no offense to anyone if I miss you when I'm walking. And you can see our almond over here, that's doing really well. That's done quite well. I think we've got a little more almonds this year. I actually pruned this substantially 2 years ago, opened the canopy up. That's one thing with these trees is the canopy, the inside of the tree needs to get some light on the branches. I think that's huge for the health of the tree. But interestingly enough, those leaf-footed Asian beetles that like pomegranates, those have actually been on these almonds. So they have some pretty interesting, it looks like some kind of larva that it's clear, but it's hard. It's almost like plastic. And you can tell that it's a larva because it's trying to drill into the outer casing of the almond. And so last night I was out here just literally flicking those things off, whatever they are. You can't really tell what they are at this point. I mean, who knows? I'm guessing it's related to those Asian leaf-footed beetles since I saw them on there. And thankfully, I think we got that population down pretty good. These almonds, when you harvest them, it has like a meaty outer green layer. And then the almond nut with the shell is actually caged inside of that green layer. So anything that I get on the outside, as long as it doesn't make it through the green, isn't going to hurt the actual almond. So I don't think our almonds have been compromised by that. So almonds themselves are pretty easy to process. Once that green cracks open, that's when I pick it, and then I take that outer husk off of it, and then I actually shell the almonds at that point, and then you can either eat them fresh at that point, you can make a nut butter, or you could roast them. And depending on how many almonds we get will affect what I do with them. So far, I've only been able to get about a half pint of nut butter with them. It's a pretty young tree, but it's pretty delicious, and they're also really delicious roasted. And the other thing I have to learn this year, since we got a lot more pistachios than we've gotten in the past, I have to actually learn how to harvest those. So I'm thinking probably also need to let those sit on the tree for a while, maybe start to crack. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the pistachios that you buy, the shells look like they've kind of opened and cracked open a little bit. So I'm thinking that's what I need to do with our pistachios and let them crack open. You can see this newest apple is setting on some apples here. Let's go look at the pistachios. If anybody has ever grown pistachios and has any words of wisdom for me on that, let me know. This is a great desert dweller, but it takes a very long time to produce. It looks like we have a few that don't look so good, but I don't know, welcome to the desert, right? But look, we're getting actually quite a few pistachios this year. And so I have to learn how to harvest these and how to roast them or dry them. Yeah, some of them don't look good though, so I'm not sure. I'm going to have to read about that also. Any words of wisdom out there? I'll take them. We haven't been putting any extra water on this, so I don't know if that's part of the problem. Gonna have to read about that. Some of them look really awesome though. Let's go take a look at our grapefruit. This is a dwarf ruby red grapefruit. And look at this. This will make a full-sized, yeah, you get pistachios from the store, you're smart. That's the easiest way to get them. This will actually make full-size grapefruit. It's remarkable, and they're so delicious. So this might be another good desert dweller. We have it kind of planted where it mostly gets the morning sun, but it does get a little bit of the afternoon sun, but it has done really well. Look at this. And this is a really tiny tree. I mean, it's doing much better than the Meyer lemon is. It gives me a little hope here. Oh, there's a nice one down in there. Yeah, we might be getting a few more of these than I thought. The last I counted, there was about 8, but which is still pretty good for this small tree, right? This has the potential to get about 15 feet tall. Oh, this one actually has 2 on it. I don't know. It's very slow growing though, which isn't so bad. And I've got most of the apples off of this, so I'm probably going to do a little bit of pruning on it. These branches here, they're kind of long, so when it puts a lot of apples on, it puts a lot of weight on the branch. And I still have a couple apples I discovered I still have to pick. But this Anna apple, it does really good. This produces a lot of apples for such a small tree. It's our newest edition, Stella Cherry. It's probably going to be 5 years before we see anything on this. It did try to bloom. It had 2 blooms on it this year, so that's positive. Over here, we have a tomatillo. Something is chewing on the leaves, but it is blooming, so we will get tomatillos. And we have tomatoes, and we have some catnip going. We don't have any cats, but the catnip is something I'm going to use in an herbal concoction that I learned about from watching Heidi on Rain Country. She's a pretty cool, resourceful girl. And this is our horseradish. And yeah, some of the leaves look rough, but as long as nothing eats this, each one of these plants will divide and make an additional root, probably like in the fall. Here's some feverfew. Here's some yarrow. And I think these might be pumpkins. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna have to check the leaf pictures out. This one, I don't think this is a pumpkin because it's not vining. My squash got all mixed up. My attempt at nicely labeling my trays failed at the point in which I moved the tray and some of them fell over. We had some wind, and yeah, so they're all intermixed. Look at this pomegranate. This started fruiting about 3 years in. And what you want to do is these branches that have all the fruit on them, those are the ones you prune after you harvest the fruit. I'm still curious to know, maybe paint it as an art, like sit and paint. I'm still curious to know, Holy Basil. You'll have to give me an update on what you meant with that. But I used to paint when I was young. I loved painting watercolors and charcoal. Yeah, we're getting quite a few pomegranates, and we let our neighbors pick the ones that are on their side of the wall. That's our best way of being neighborly. This tree back here in the back is a pomegranate. It's setting some on, but it doesn't get quite as much light. It's getting a lot of shade from this pine tree and then also from the almond. And I've noticed the almond, even though it had potential to put on nuts at the top, it didn't. So I'm thinking I'm just going to keep this a little shorter, and that'll get our pomegranate some more light, right? I mean, if most of the nuts are set on lower, there's no point in letting it get so tall, right? Anyway, any thoughts on that? This can get 15 feet tall. I'm finding that you can pretty much shape your trees and keep them, if you start doing it when they're young, you can keep them shaped and keep them about the height that you want them to be. That is our garden update this morning. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.